Good morning and welcome back to the case study. This is where we're talking about lessons learned and putting it in video format for you to be able to share with your employees, with your company. And today I'm really excited to be able to have Alfie Peretta here from AP Traffic Services. How are you doing today, Alfie?
I'm doing well. Good morning. I'm
Good
excited.
morning. Yeah,
We can talk
I
about
know.
traffic
This is
control.
this
It's,
is
it's,
your
it,
your TV debut, right?
it absolutely is. So yeah, you can see me out on the roads, but
Yeah.
not in a setting like this, though. This is new.
Yeah, this is new and this is fantastic because we want to bring people in who are really doing the hands-on work out in the field. And so why don't you just tell us a little bit about you, your company, how you got to where you are?
Okay. Alfie Peretta. I'm the owner of AP Traffic Services, and I got started, in about '96 with Tiger Construction in the land portion of their company. We would do some side work and we would do some shoulder closures, and we were never trained. And so Tiger Safety came out and talked to us about, hey, this is incorrect, and you need to be trained to do traffic control. And we're like, oh, okay, didn't know anything about it because we were never obviously trained. And so went through that whole training course, and I took it, and it was good. It was informing. We did a lot of things that were wrong, and they corrected us on it, which was very good because we didn't know anything about the safety aspect of it. We thought, hey, just throw cones up there and they'll be fine, and just throw a sign here and there. But obviously that was wrong. And so I got to do that a lot more and more, and it just became natural. And then the more training I had, the more I would say technical jobs I got to do and to learn. And then from there, it was just like, it was something that I kind of liked because it was a challenge. It was tough, to be honest. And I kind of like those tough things. The easy things are kind of nice now and then, but I didn't really feel that I was being challenged. And so doing some of these technical closures, I thought were just like, wow, look what I just did. I did something that I think is amazing. And it's awesome. These cars are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And from there, I moved up to different companies, and they did bigger projects, which I enjoyed again. And that's how I learned. Did a lot of training, like I said. So traffic control, there's a ton of training. There's always something new to learn. So these ATSA classes that you go to, the union has classes, and then just events and expos, you get to talk to people who have done other things or different types of traffic control, and you get to listen and learn and watch. And, that just intrigues me. I like that because, again, I like doing really hard technical things because it challenges me, and it just keeps you moving, keeps the day going. And that's how I got started.
So again, just working your way up through the ranks, and then you're able to own this company of yours, which is a union company that does traffic control. And you talk about how hard it is, but one of the reasons why I was a flag girl at the beginning of my construction career is because it's just holding a sign, right? It's not really that tough.
Oh, you know what? Everyone sees traffic control. Everybody who drives a vehicle and the passengers, and everyone's driven by a job site. And then when they go by a job site, they see everything like, oh, look at that. There's a flagger there. Look at that. That looks so easy. It's really not. It's just not holding a paddle. It's paying attention to the oncoming traffic, your surroundings. You're standing all day, and it's just tough. It's just like, oh, I can do that. That looks so easy. I always say, you know what? It's not that easy. It's like, you know what? Can you cook? You say, you think you're a really good cook? Well, let's try your food. You know what? You say you are. It's pretty easy to do, but you're not. It's kind of like flagging the same way. Oh, I can stand here with the paddle and stop everybody, but there's more to it. And it's not as easy as you think. It's really mentally, physically. I mean, you stand all day, and you have things going all the time. You have the pedestrians going, what's going on? What are you doing? Why am I being stopped? And they want you to answer every question. It's just like, you know what? I'm here for your safety, my safety, and the crews that were working behind me in this work zone. And you know what? I'm sorry. Just, it's not as easy. Oh yeah, they're always on the, no, it's a very tough job. You need to
Yeah,
be focused.
I will tell you that it is the last year that I did it, my first and my last, because of exactly what you're saying. I mean, when you're standing on pavement, it's 110 degrees outside, it's
Yeah.
160 on the ground. So we used to put gunny sacks over our feet and stand on rubber mats and have the water
Yes.
truck put water on the gunny sacks on our way down. But it really is hard, and it's a tough thing. But we're going to talk about a few challenges today in traffic control and just kind of make people more aware of some of the things that happen on the jobs that you work on. But one of the things that I've found unique by working with your company is, the challenge of you not really necessarily giving a lump sum bid and being able to be prepared for the jobs coming your way. It's often you developing these relationships with different companies and then being available on a call list and kind of having your crew ready, which can be an unsettling thing for an entrepreneur to not really know where your work is coming from. And so before we get into talking about the challenge that we're going to talk about today, from an entrepreneurial standpoint and a construction owner standpoint, can you give us just a little bit of insight of the challenge of that particular aspect of being able to just, keep your crew happy and be on call and ready for a job when it's available?
Yeah, it's tough because you go to the builders exchange and different outlets to see, what jobs are coming up. And so you look at those jobs, and most of the jobs don't have in-depth traffic control. What they need, it's just a MUTCD, just a generic traffic control standard that we go by. It's not a site specific. And then if you were awarded the job, or if a prime contractor gave you that job as a sub to do it, then you'll have a plan that's site specific, and then you can see exactly what is actually needed. So then once you have that, and then you can discuss on, you give a general rate. And then once the job is given to you, you can say, well, this wasn't on here because obviously it was just a MUTCD plan, not site specific. We're going to do this. So this may cost a little more. We have to do some extra things. So we get that all together. We hash all that out and we say, good, fine, we have that. So, which is nice. So then we can put a rate sheet together for that project. And then what else comes up, other things come up is that, so then you start doing the project and all of a sudden, that project got a little bigger, and now you need to add more things. So now you have to pothole across the street. So now we have to say, hey, do you have an extra air board? Do you have an extra crew? So that's another addition to that. And then normally they want it done right now. They don't want to wait like 2 days or get a permit and all that. What we do is we talk to the inspector and then make sure everything is good. We can do that. We do a quick little drawing and we'll be fine with that. And then we can do that. But yeah, it's challenging when they want to add things on and it's not on the bid. And we have to be prepared and have it on our trucks.
Yeah, it really brings to light, once again, the importance of communication and being able to have really fluid collaboration with everybody on the job site.
Yeah, correct. Because your plans will show you like on a flagging type of setup. It'll tell you where the flaggers they like you to be in these positions for the safest place for them and the project themselves. And it's just like, so this project, it looks like the plans call for 3 flaggers. And you have your 3 flaggers, and then you get there and they tell you, oh, we only need 2. Like, so you bring 2, and it's just like, wait a second. We walk the job before we start. We look at everything. And it's just like, well, who's going to cover this spot? Who's going to cover that spot? We have 2. That's really not going to work. Well, we've done it all the time like that. Well, you know what? You can do it like that. We don't want to do it like that. I'm sorry. Oh, you know what? We'll give you one of our laborers. No, you're not going to give us one of your laborers because if something happens, we need to follow the plans the way they go. And if that doesn't really work out, then we get maybe someone higher up in their organization, and then we get the inspector. And then we have a really good talk about, hey, here's the plans. They're set a certain way. We need to follow these plans. We can't deviate from these. And that's the biggest challenge that we have, one of them. And it's just like, you know what? They think it's so easy that, oh, yeah, 2 people can do it, when truly it is maybe a 3 or 4 person job. And then they say, oh, can we take one of your flaggers and move up a little bit and do some potholing or some layout? Well, no, we can't. Well, can you do a setup for us up there? No, we can't. Well, why can't you do that? Because we're stationed here. And once we're stationed, we can't leave. it's tough. I mean, we need someone. We can't leave our station until someone gives us a break and monitors that position, that flagging station. We can't leave it open, because if we do, guess who's coming through? The public, and they're just going to follow everybody, and then there's total chaos, and that's what we don't want.
And these plans that we're talking about, these are traffic control plans, and they're typically designed after the bid and everything has gone through. So this is something that is additional instruction to your company specifically when you guys come onto the job site.
Yeah, that's correct. Let me see. I have some plans. Here's a plan that we were just awarded a job, but they didn't know how the traffic control was going to be. So after they awarded the job, they had a company go out and do the plans. So I don't know if you can see this, but we just started this job yesterday. So here's the plans, and it tells you everything that we need for this job, right? Those are the way the plans should be. But most of the time, we get the MUTCD plans, which are not site specific. If you can see, these are just generic plans. Doesn't tell you the street name, doesn't tell you anything, doesn't tell you where to put anything. Here's the plans. There you go. Really? Okay, well, we have a lot of stuff on our trucks that we can do a lot of things that we don't need to go back to the shop and get, because that just wastes time. And then they're waiting on us, and they have a crew of 10, and it takes us an hour and a half to come back and set it up correctly. So that's the big difference in the plant. Well, here you go. Well, then it's kind of tough for us. But luckily, we have trucks big enough that we can accommodate almost every single aspect of the traffic control without having downtime, which is very important to the contractor.
And that really is part of the beast that your lane of construction has to deal with, is you have to be ready for anything, because it's never really clear when you first come onto the job site. And so thank you for sharing that challenge, because I think that is an important challenge for other people to respect and understand as you're explaining the challenge that we're talking about today. And you said that you wanted to talk really about more comprehension and understanding of awareness of traffic control on a project and what that means to the project.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we first start out, we have a construction meeting, and we go over the whole job site. And then from there, we look at every type of scenario we can think of before we start. And then we get a game plan together. And once we get that in, then we set up our advanced warning signs. So we put those where the public can see very clearly and what's going on. And then from there, we set up our lane closures, our flagging stations, our work zone for the workers to keep them safe. So our biggest thing is that the pedestrian, people in general, they see so much construction. They see all the signs that are never taken down when they're not being used. And they just think, oh, it's just a sign. When in actuality, it's actually a true work zone. And they come in, they don't pay attention, and they just like, oh my God, a car just stopped. What's going on? Well, we had these signs posted back saying, hey, road work ahead, right lane closed ahead, transition or flagging, whatever type of project or setup it's supposed to be. And they just don't seem to pay attention until it's too late. And then they slam on the brakes because they're right there in front of a car, and then things happen. It's just the awareness that people need to pay attention to, especially on the very first day. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I have
I can hear you. Yes.
All right. Is that I have some construction work going on by my house, and the guys are too lazy to take the signs down every night. And so I get used to those signs being up there with them not meaning anything, because there's no construction going on anywhere. And so as a public person and somebody driving and seeing construction signs, sometimes it's hard to have respect for those signs when they're just hanging out for weeks and weeks at a time with no construction going on.
Yeah, we see it all the time. And that's what happens. People like, oh, there's no construction here. It hasn't been here. And all of a sudden, they've been absent for maybe 3 weeks or 2 weeks. And all of a sudden, here's a project now. Even though they've seen the signs, and all of a sudden, they don't see the flagger there. They don't see a lot of things. And things happen so fast because everyone's on their phone. They're eating. They're just trying to get from one place to another place as quick as they can. And things happen so fast. I mean, everyone's on their phone. You have to admit it. Everyone's on their phone. Everyone's looking this way, looking that way. They're eating. It's very tough to put 100% driving. And be honest with yourself. Even myself, it's really tough sometimes because things are going out. You want to know your surroundings, but you want to look focused and see what's ahead of you to make sure you're doing, correct and safe things.
And so the challenge is really helping the public be aware, but what about the guys that you're actually working with, the gals, the crew that is out there on the job site? Like, do you have to worry about their equipment running over your guys and gals?
Exactly. Yeah. So, for our flaggers, we have a flagging station. So within that station is a little perimeter that we stay in. We do not go outside that perimeter. And then we have flagger cones that are ahead of us, just in case someone goes on the side of the road and hits the fog line, the edge line, bike line, whatever you want to call it. That's where our flaggers is on the shoulder. They'll hit those, and hopefully they'll look up and say, "Oh my God, bam, someone's right there." So that's one of the protective things for our flaggers. And then just hopefully they see us and they're paying attention. So it's just tough. We have to be aware all the time. Our head's on a swivel, going back and forth because sometimes the crews that are working that we're protecting will come out in the middle of the lane and not tell us and warn us. And we're sending vehicles and they just pop out. So we always have to look before we send. And so we always have this talk before, hey, if you're going to have someone come out of your work zone, blow the whistle, toot your horn, and we will stop all vehicles and let your worker come out, whatever, a loader or a backhoe or whatever that comes out, and then move that up in a safe lane, and then we'll proceed with the vehicles at when it's time, because we don't want head-on collisions. We don't want a backhoe to swing the bucket back and then hit the vehicle, which would be ugly. So it's just there's a lot of things you have to look at, and then setting up your cones properly. You can't have your cones right on top of the workers. Just not going to work. You need to have a buffer zone in between there. So that's what we do. We try to keep it as safe as we can for the workers, but it's safe for the public, because sometimes there's open cuts. And we have cone bars that we put on top of our cones to help guide the public through this, the work zone safely. And then, you'll be surprised what happens out there. There's so many people nowadays who really don't know how to drive, and they say they do. We look at them going, oh my God, you don't know what this sign means? You don't know a lot of things. And then it's unfortunate that it happens way, way too often. Mm-hmm. And again, it's just like, that's why you always have to engage with the public. You have to look at them. You just can't look this way and just motion them, because you don't know what that car is going to do. It's just because things happen, bam, like that. And you do not want a phone call. That's the worst thing in the world. And I'm sure that it adds to your challenge that every construction project is different, right? Everything Absolutely.
is completely different. And so do you have pre-construction meetings with the general contractors team before you go out that week? Or what does that look like when you're trying to really eliminate any issue or problem that you can have?
We do. We meet with them. Like I said, we have a pre-con meeting with everybody and all the inspectors, and any concerns that I have, I will bring up at that time. And then when we start the very first day, like yesterday, we all met as a group with our tech control people saying, this is who we are. This is what we're going to do. This is what you guys asked us to do. And here's your work zone. Because a lot of the workers don't know, just the superintendents, the foremans, and all that know. And so we have this meeting and we say, we're going to close this up, this, and this. This will be open. And again, if you have any trucks coming out, let us know, blow your horn, or just get our attention so we can stop the vehicles. And so that works out very well for us. But a lot of times they don't know. Some companies do in-house traffic control, and they think they're going to help us out sometimes. And obviously that doesn't really work out, because if they don't do it properly, which they think they do, a lot of people want to do their best. Oh, I'm going to help them out. And sometimes it's just wrong. The intentions are there. They mean very well, but it's just not the right thing to do sometimes. And then that puts us in a situation where we have to leave our position to make sure it's correct, right? Because sometimes a cone will get knocked down, or when it knocks down, it'll be moved, 30 feet, and they'll just put that cone right there, and there'll be a big void in the closure. And cars, for some reason, will think, oh, that's the lane to go in. And then if they go in, the car behind them goes in. And then it's just a big headache. And then we have mass confusion. And then everyone's running around going, oh my God, what's going on? We're going to get hit. And then it's not a good look, to be honest. It's very tough, very scary. especially when you do these big intersections that are like multi-turn pockets, 2 to the left, 2 to the right, 3 that go straight. So one road going one direction has 8 lanes in it, and you have 8 lanes over there. So then you times that by 4, and you need flaggers in each one and turn pockets. It's a super technical thing. And those are things I really enjoy, because you know what? You need to be spot on. You need to be good. But again, though, it takes a lot of time to set up. You just can't set it up within 30 minutes. No, you have all your advanced warning signs so the public knows. And then you got to make sure you get the right turn pocket in to go on the right lane on the other side of the road. So yeah, there's a lot.
And I really do feel that there's an assumption around your particular discipline that it's just really not that tough. You guys just need to show up and do your job. And I think that seeing your passion in it and understanding the technicality that really is involved in it, if people came at it from that approach at the same as they do their own work, and understanding how much you care about everything that goes on with what you're doing, that understanding that time is needed in order to plan appropriately, not just to call you guys the night before and be like, okay, well, we looked on our 3-week look ahead and we're going to shut down this turn lane and we need traffic control out there tomorrow. Let's give Alfie a call.
Yeah, that's tough for us to do because we're just a small company, and but
it happens all the time.
All the time. And I feel bad about that because the companies that we worked for when we started have kept us on working all the time. We're gradually building a little bit, which I'm very happy for, because our teams are absolutely awesome. We have the best training. We do in-house OSHA 30, OSHA 10, flagger classes. I'm an instructor. We have Rick Lowry, who's an instructor. So we have first aid, CPR. We have all that in-house. So we can teach everything that we need to put out in the field correctly and safely. So I'm very happy. And then we do a lot of training. So traffic control is like, every 4 years you have to get recertified, and new things happen all the time. New things come out, new inventions. It's like, wow. So we learn these things. And so we're always learning about something. So, which is very good, because you just don't know what new item can actually be better than the ones we have right now. So, but again, that's where the training comes in. So we do a lot of training through the union. We do a lot of training through ATSA. So all of our foremans, we all have a book through ATSA. They all take a class. In order to take this class, you have to have so many hours in the field, 4,000 hours. It's a journeyman class. And so our foremen who go out to the field are trained that way. And then you have a technician, which is one below that, and you need 2,000 hours to go up through there. So all of them have that book. And it's just not like, hey, we can just, like I said, you can just, when I first started, we just threw cones out there and a sign. That is so wrong. You can't do that nowadays because it's not right. Because the reaction time when you come up to a work zone, you see the first sign. Oh, okay, I saw that. Didn't know what it was, but I said, oh, here's a second sign. It says, oh, 1 lane road. And then you're going to pay more attention. So you need to have people that are trained who put them in the correct spot. So your compliance with the plans, with every agency you're working with, you have to follow these things. And if it doesn't work out, then we get together and we meet and we discuss how do we make it safe for everybody? Because not all plans are perfect. So that's why you have to go over them. I mean,
you're kidding.
It's tough. Well, look at these guys. What were they thinking? Oh my God, they missed this, and this. And it's just like, well, so yeah. So that's why it's good to get together every morning. We have a tailgate topic with the foreman, because things change from 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock last night to 6 o'clock in the morning. Oh, we're not going to do this. Things came up, whatever. So that's why I think our training is so important for our employees. Everyone goes through these classes. When that time comes up to hit the 2,000 hours, they go through the ATSA Traffic Control Technicians course, and the ones through the union. And then from that, then they move up higher, and it explains everything. But again, though, I'm out in the field every single day, pretty much. All the new hires that we have, the apprentices, we have one, and all the rest are journeyman foremen. We go through, whether we get them through the union or wherever, their first day, I'm with them for 1 full day, and we go through everything. They just we call them a floater. So they float and watch everything, because different companies do things different ways, right? They have different habits. We have a policy that we slow paddle. We don't sit in our trucks. So it's a lane closure. You'll see this a lot. You'll set up your closure, make it safe for everybody. And all of a sudden, where the flaggers at? You don't see them. Unfortunately, they're in their truck or they're at the work zone they're not out in front holding a stop paddle saying slow going through the work zone. So we always have one at the beginning and one at the middle, just in case on a lane closure that if a truck does come out, we can get on a walkie-talkies. Hey, we got a 10-wheeler coming out. We need to hold the traffic when you can. So the first one will say, okay, copy that. And then they'll hold the traffic. You say, go ahead. Last vehicle is a Mini Cooper. And then once that car passes, then we know we can let that car go out safely in any direction, right? If we're flagging or if it's a lane closure, it's going to go the direction of the traffic the way it is. Obviously, that'll be the last vehicle. So it's really important that to be trained. And again, the spacings of the cones dictates the speed, the width of the road, how wide it is, or 10, 11, or 12, and that dictates the speed, 35, 45. And then, so most cones are like 25 feet in slow residential areas. And then your higher speeds, 35, 45, they'll say, space them out at 35, 45 feet. And then this is where I pride myself. One of the companies that I work with was Centerline Striping. I worked there for 8 years. And if you're a striper for whatever company, those traffic control supervisors are spot on. I would love to steal one from those companies because they know how to do it. They close intersections and they have to be right and they have to be fast, but they have to be very good and very, very safe. So you just can't put cones on a taper where it kind of merges to the other lane at 15 feet, then 45 feet, then 15, and whatever, because you'll have big gaps. And again, the drivers will say, oh, they're going to follow right in there and the car behind is going to follow in there. So proper training, correct training in safety is the key. Because if you don't have that, then it's just like, well, who are these guys? What company is this? Look at what they're doing. We could have done this ourselves. And no. And it's just sad to see. That's why they call us a specialty license.
And a lot of your work is reliant upon your reputation, for sure. Yeah. And I just want to make it clear that when you say that you want to steal other people's employees, you're simply being complimentary. Yeah. So
no, but all I'm saying is
reach out to Alfie on LinkedIn.
No, I want them to stay because that makes their company safe.
Yeah.
And that's what we want. We want safety. We don't want to hear people on the news saying, oh, there was a fatality because of this. And that's the worst thing. That phone call is like the worst call you can get. And luckily I've never had one. So, and we work 24/7. So it's not like my phone is ever really shut off. And it's just like, it's a tiring job, but it's rewarding when things work out and things go well. And you drive your site and you can say, you know what, most of our jobs that we get are through, they drove by our job site and they like what they saw. They don't know who we are because we're a small business, but they're like, wow, look at this. This looks good. And then they Google us or whatever. So I feel good about that because again, our team is very, very, they do a great job. They're tremendous. I wouldn't be where I'm at without them.
Yeah. And, that's really important we can see the passion that you have about it. And that is part of what creates the reputation that other people want to work with. Before we move on, I just want to take a little break and make sure to remind people that they can put their questions in the comments. If you have anything that you would like to ask Alfie, just make sure that you put it in there before we end here in a few minutes. But Alfie, going back to the training, sometimes a lot of these companies try to pick up their own traffic control. And so like you said, they'll throw a couple laborers on a paddle and stick them out there and feel that that's enough. And so your group provides training and you also create traffic control plans yourselves. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes, we do that. So if a company wants to come in and they need their OSHA 10 or their OSHA 30, we can do it in-house. If we have the time, we can do it the next day, which normally when someone calls us, again, it's like traffic. Hey, we need 6 people. Can you get them here by tomorrow? It's 3:00 in the afternoon. We'll do the best we can, but I don't think so. Here's some other companies, but so we provide that. And these companies that are are just getting started. And so I get it. They can't really afford the traffic control, so they do it themselves and they have their employees do it. And then once it's set up, what do? Those employees go back in the hole or do their other job that they're supposed to do. No one's really monitoring the traffic control whatsoever. They think, oh, that's good enough. So a lot of the companies now, they'll hire us and we'll come in and we'll set up for the first day and we'll kind of give them a training how to set things up correctly and safely. And then we'll come back the second day and we'll let them do it themselves. And then we'll go ahead and watch them and help them and guide them through that whole day. And then the third day, they say, we don't need you. We think we got it. And they can do it themselves. So we like to help other companies. We want to make sure that everything is safe, everything is good, because, you know, it's important to go through a job site and make sure that, you know, there's no hiccups, there's no confusions. We try to eliminate the confusions, because there's a sign here, no left turn, no right turn, detour sign to the left. Is that returning here? So we make sure that the signage is up properly. And again, the safety factor is important. The signage is important because, again, the public doesn't really pay attention again. And that's really important. You need to look at someone at a stop sign, not on their phone like this. The light turns green. The light's been green for 30 seconds and they're still sitting there. So, and then if they go through a work zone that's kind of slow, which we hope that's very slow, they go through a nice, even pace to go through, and they're like, oh, I got time to look. You really don't. Because by the time that car stops, like I said, let's say the backhoe operator swings their bucket out and the car in front of them or two cars sees that and stops real quick and you're down. Even though you're going 15 miles an hour, by the time you react, foot on the brake, and up, you're 30 feet. So there's going to be a fender bender. Then what happens? Then the whole project gets delayed and it's bad. So yeah, just knowing your surroundings, paying attention is the key. And especially, so we're trained on looking at things for flaggers. When the car comes by, you always make contact. You look in the eyes and you kind of like that, and you motion them this way. Yes, you're good. And you always look at them like this, and you can kind of tell if they're paying attention. You can see what's right next to them sometimes, and sometimes it's not very good. And then you kind of say, hey, there's a white utility van. You might want to pay attention. So we kind of inform the people behind us if there's some erratic behavior that isn't safe for us or the crews. So I think that's important. And you get all taught, you get all walks of life going. Everyone drives. Again, whether they know how to drive or not, they drive with the license or without license. We don't know, but and then it's wild out there. That's what makes it kind of fun sometimes. But it's deadly. It is absolutely deadly, and that's the worst thing in the world. Again, you hear it on the news, and that phone call. They're a child of somebody. They could be a parent of somebody. They could be it doesn't matter. A life's a life, and you need to pay attention. And it's the worst thing ever, and that's what you don't want. And this is why we have rules and regulations, and this is why every company that I've worked with has done training. It just depends how much you want to do. I think we go above and beyond, and I'm happy about that. But the other companies are very good too. Don't get me wrong. We're not the best. I don't know if we're the best or whatever, but I feel very, very comfortable where we're at with who we've got. And so, 99% of the flaggers care about everybody. They do. They want to make sure that they're safe, their workers are safe, and the public is safe. And then at the end, when they say, guys, we're all done, go ahead and pick up, we're done. We're like, okay. Then we get a game plan on how we're going to pick up safely. And then we get everything off the road. And then we're just absolutely good. Pick up our signs. We get to go home. We'll see everyone in the morning time. And then, or maybe like today, it's a Friday. You guys have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. And we'll see you then. And that's the best feeling, going home. And knowing that you did a good job and everything went well. And then it's just a really good feeling. I like that feeling. Because you never know it could happen. Like I said, we don't advertise. We don't really put our name out there. And this is how we get most of our work. These companies drive by, they like what they see. Because again, a lot of companies don't do the proper things. And that's unfortunate. And that's where it's just like, God, wow, look at this. And it's just like, this is what I do. You're making us look bad. And I don't like that. I don't. And to be honest, if you actually see something that maybe we didn't see, bring it to our attention, and then we can correct it. Or again, some people think, oh, I know how to do traffic control. I've seen this done, that done. Well, you know what? It's not correct. You may have seen it, but it wasn't done correctly or properly. It wasn't done by the specs the way it should be.
Well, it's one of those things, right, where you make hard things look easy, and so then everybody thinks that they can do it. And
exactly.
So that's one thing that you can be very proud about your company and your
Yeah.
company's reputation. And so, Alfie, thank you so much for being here today to talk about the challenge of awareness, of making sure that people understand on both sides of the cone what their jobs are, where they're supposed to be, how traffic needs to flow, how people need to pay attention and be aware while they're going through those traffic zones. So can you let the audience know where they can reach out to you?
Like it's new. We don't, I guess you can Google us at AP Traffic Services. We have a website. You can see some training if you want, like I said. If you're a new company or if you want to have maybe just us to come out and just see how your setup is and maybe critique you or I don't know, we can do that for you. You can DM me. I'm not really good at this, how would you say this, the public or the media stuff.
This
Again,
influencer that you're becoming.
Okay, you know what? Again, we've been very lucky, and our team, our crews are so good at what they do, and I'm very proud of them. This is how we get, because they drive by other contractors and say, you know what, I like them, and then we get a phone call and we talk from there, and that's what I'm happy about. So that tells me that we're doing something well.
Well,
And again,
because it all comes down to money, right? And so
absolutely.
as smooth as you're able to get your work done means more profitability and safety costs saved by the companies that you work for.
Yeah, so on that aspect, so we do have a couple big trucks, the 350 flatbeds that you see on the freeways. We have 4 of those, but besides that, on our pickup trucks, depending on the project, we have a specially made basket that we can attach to our 250s that we can actually drop cones from instead of picking them up and walking them out in the lane. This way, we have a basket behind us that's going to be a barrier. It's going to be some type of protection instead of no protection. And dropping cones at 10 miles an hour for 1,500 feet compared to walking will save about 15, 20 minutes one way. So if we can save that, maybe a half an hour, and then pick up, that saves a client an hour of time of downtime. So they can work that extra. If they needed to get 400 feet, maybe instead of getting 350, they can actually get what they were supposed to get because that extra time. So, and that's a big safety aspect. I really don't like dropping cones on a lane closure because you just don't know. Someone's driving the truck, someone's taking the cones off the back. And when you drop the cones, you are looking this way, traffic is coming behind you. And you're not going to walk sideways because you can trip and fall, slip hazard, hit your head on the tail. A lot of different things can happen. I just don't like that. And sometimes you just can't use a big cone truck, as we say, a flatbed, because it's just too big sometimes. And it's just, so that's one of the safety features I like about our trucks. And all of our trucks have mounted aero boards. So we can do a lot of different things just in case, like I said, contractors always say, hey, can we go do some layout up there? Well, we only have one aero board, but if the inspector says yes, and we can do it safely and by the book, we can take one of our trucks, which is legal to have with the aero board through Caltrans, and we can use that as an aero board and be their safety guide. And they can do layout, and we can do like a rolling block to help them out, even though it wasn't on the plans. So we want to help everybody, but we want to help them safely, and that's the key. As long as we can help them safely and make things move smoothly. And again, we need to be cost effective. And that's why some of the training comes in. If you know how to do it correctly, you don't have to do it 3 times in a row, right? I understand sometimes you may have to critique it just realign things. That's just the way business and all life goes. Like I said, cooking, needs a little more salt. Oh, perfect now. It was okay the first time, but that makes it really, really good. And that's what we want.
So. Absolutely. So, Alfie, thank you so much. I love how passionate you are about your industry. And if anybody wants to reach out, or if you see one of those AP trucks on the highway, make sure to reach out to Alfie on LinkedIn or his website. And I just want to thank all of you. Again, remember that we have the Skill Builder, which is a monthly membership supporting your employees to learn everything that they need to learn that is not in a textbook. And then I also am super proud to be able to launch the Career Discovery book for both girls and boys. And if your company would like to sponsor an elementary school close to you and offer these books to a classroom, I would be more than happy to highlight your company as a profile in the book and identify individuals in your company that can be seen as live mentors to young children wanting to get into the construction industry. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today, and we'll see you next week on the case study.